What's up, guys? Welcome to another Ian Outdoors video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about something that I never really did before. I hope it works out good. Since today is Earth Day, the day that this is getting filmed, I thought it would be good to talk about how climate change is happening, what farms should be going to instead of these big commercial commodities like they are now with 20 and 30,000 animals, chickens at some, and 10,000 pigs. There's some big farms. I'm going to tell you what I think it should be going to. And a bit on the baler, not much. Just a little bit. So let's get right into it. As I was saying in the intro, today we're going to be talking about what I think we should be doing towards climate change and pretty much farming alone. This video is probably going to be mostly on farming because that's pretty much what I'm into, what I like to do. I got a baler, I want to farm. So let's get right into it. So most of the food that's grown for our world is on those big farms that have 1,000, 2,000, some even have 5,000 acres of land, and they grow big things they have big barns, big herds, and big tractors. And then they have 5,000 pigs, 20,000 chickens. I'll just show you a picture of what some of these poor chicken barns look like in cages. See that? It's not too pleasant. I wouldn't want to live in one of those or be treated like that. They don't get to see sunlight, pasture, grass. They're just put to how many eggs can you grow in a year? How much money can you make? That's pretty much all those big farms want, money and productivity. And then all that feed to one farm, there's a lot of money, so they want to get their money back out of those birds. And they're so crowded, they don't even get to walk around right. Some of the cages are even so small that they can't even stand upright. I don't like the way it is. I don't. So now we're gonna change our subject over to cattle a bit. So cattle in feedlots are pretty much just stuck in a dirt pen, fed grain, constant, as much as you can eat. Get it in, grow quick. They rush the cows' growing speed up 10-20% from a normal farm. They would do it on pasture hay. Not them, just grain. And then I think cows are one of the best animals no, I can't say that. Cows are one of the better animals for the world when it comes to feeding, but their farts put bad gas into the air. And so that's a downside to cows. But cows can live off of just grass. They don't need to eat grain. Grain just makes them grow a whole lot faster. But grain, you can grow at a cow in about probably a summer. With grass, might take a year or two. So the subject with cattle, I'll just show you a picture of one of the feedlots. I wouldn't want to live in one of those either. I don't think it would be too pleasant. So that's a bad thing about cattle. They get grown in bad places. But again, with cattle, like I was saying, the farts, it's bad for the environment and everything. But another thing is pigs. I saw a video on I forget where it was, but they had the mother brood pigs, and they had them locked up in these metal cage-like things, and they couldn't even roll over. They just laid on their side with all of their little piglets around them, and they couldn't roll over, do nothing. I'll show you a picture of that. And they had all their little piglets around with them, and they just laid there and ate. I wouldn't be too comfortable laying there all the time on my side just having piglets. No, I don't think anybody would like that. I don't think I'd want to be an animal, period. But I don't think it's right to wear the way they're growing them, and those animals are like they're in cages, and pigs are like not treated very good in barns. Normally the lighting's not too great for them. They don't get to forage on pasture, and a pig's nose isn't meant to be locked up in a barn. It's meant to like dig through earth and be in the grass and out on pasture land in like mud, and they don't get mud in a barn. They get dry concrete floor or bedding of hay or sawdust or wood chips or whatever, so they don't really get to forage in it. And then like there's a lot of, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of farms like that are really good at, like, they graze their cattle. They don't feed as much grain, or they don't feed grain at all. They have their pigs in open range areas. They don't have chickens in cages. They let them roam free. And that's pretty much like the way it should be. Like back before the Second World War in like the 1940s and even the 50s and 60s, sort of, kind of, not really. In the 60s and in the 70s and late 60s, I started to change over. But then that's when you'd see a farmer with like 10 pigs. Now, like it was uncommon, like a farmer with 10,000 pigs. That was like unheard of. You didn't hear 10,000 pigs. Now, like 10,000 pigs. Wow, he got 10,000 pigs. Back then it was like 10,000 pigs. How would you feed them all? Like, I think it should go back to the way it was before, how they went down the world for a long time, not having this big industrial system. And even with grain, you think it has to be trucked or trained or some way to get there. Like where I live, here in Cape Breton, not a good place to grow grain, like wheat and corn. I planted corn in the garden and I got 3 stalks. It's not a good place to grow any grain. We don't get like really, our winters are, I can't say our winters are cold. This winter was not bad at all. We might have got 4 storms, I don't know. But I think it should go back to the way it was long ago. You have your few cows, your pigs, and your chickens, and like you sell a bit of it and keep a bit of it, and there's no farms with 10,000 animals that sell to 14,000 different families across the world. And like every 5 or 10 houses should have a little farm instead of just gigantic, oversized industrial farming. Another thing that I wanted to talk about today is not all farms are the big industrial farms that are cramming as many animals into a pen or try to feed them out as quick as they can to get the most money or sell them for as much as they can and pretty much make the most money. All I want is money. That's what a lot of the big farms think about. And so there are a few farms. There's one that I watch on YouTube, Just a Few Acres Farm. They're really good at what they do, I think. He's got old farm tractors. I just love old equipment and old tractors pretty much. That's why I got the baler and all this old stuff. But they have a farm that's like their cows are on grass. They're not cramming animals into teeny pens where they can't even move. I like the way they farm. Like, I know there's a lot of farms. Like, a lot of farms that aren't like that and that are good, that graze their cattle and chickens, pigs, turkeys, goats, sheep, horses, all the animals that you can grow on a farm, pretty much everything. And when we get our animals in the future, I don't know when, but maybe, I don't want to have a big farm that's like cramming animals into little pens. I want them to be free range, like have grass and be able to go like places. I don't like that, really cramming animals. Let's start a new conversation because I'm getting lost. Not only that, but it's also not the greatest for the environment, some of these things that other farmers are doing. And I find it's really hard to get into small farming and it's kind of almost impossible to get into farming now because if you don't have land prices have gone up crazy, especially where I live. seems like everybody's moving here. And like, it's not easy. Like, they even get butchering is really hard if you don't want to butcher your own animals, or if you even want to sell it. It's really hard to sell meats around here because you have to take it to certain licensed butchers, or you have to get all this stuff for yourself, or it's not the easiest to get into small farming is what I'm trying to say. And it's not easy to get just money there to where you can do that. So I think like those big farms, the way they are, and like they just put cows in just dirt, like where it's hard to even, like the cows don't graze, they just step in, they're just in dust and dirt and grain pretty much. So I don't want to have a farm like that, like I just said. And I'm lost in a conversation again, forgetting where I was supposed to go. Then there's the farmers that grow stuff like corn, wheat, soybeans, that sorta, but not really better for the environment. Some of them are good, don't get me wrong. Like, but the herbicides and everything that they spray, I'm not with that. I don't like herbicides or Roundup or none of that stuff. Like, they're spraying like 4 or 5, like they're just coating it, like grow, grow, grow. As quick as we can get it grown, we can get it sold and money. That's pretty much all they think about is money. That's what a lot of the farms think about. And even with the government, it's so hard to even start farming because of the way like prices are, and even to get a butcher, like I was saying, like to find a butcher or to find a place to sell your product is even hard. Well, to get your product sold in, it's sort of hard too. So it's not easy to become a small farmer, even be successful. And a lot of small farms went under that were up and running like long ago, like not long, well, yeah, 40 years, like in the 70s and 80s. Like a lot of them closed down. They're like, it's pretty much the big farms get bigger and the small farms get smaller. And then until there's no small farms left, like the big farms just came in and bought up all the land from the small farms, and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Then they need more land and more land to grow their grain for their animals and stuff. And another thing with the grain, that's not good. And there's this don't eat as much meat thing. I'm not really along with it, but I kind of don't know which way to go with this. Because there's, in a way, meat can be good, and in a way, meat can be bad. Like with chickens, pigs, turkeys, and animals, they pretty much can't eat grass. They can eat grass, but they can't live off of just the land. They need to have like another subsistence of food as grain, which is mostly emplaced as grain. So animals like that, I don't think are as good as the other animals could be. They could be better, but they're feeding them grain and chemicals and other things that they don't really need, but it makes the process go a lot quicker. Like sheep, they don't need grain. They don't need to be fed on grain or nothing. Goats, no. Cows, no. They just feed grain to get the growing process quicker and quicker, or more productive. As milk, you'd have more productive. And same with everything else. Like the more productive, the bigger, and the more money. It seems like it's better, but it's not really. I don't think it is. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. Oof, almost tripped over something. I better stop walking. I'll stand right here. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Well, all those things that I was talking about, like farming in the world, well, that's kind of my Earth Day video. So make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.